Look at that. This is pretty much a bone turned to stick. Holy f***. That's what I've been looking for. I think that's a bone turned to stick. Wow. Wow, this is something good.
Did you guys know there are veins that carry blood in and out of our bones? Long bones especially need to drain deoxygenated blood that has passed through marrow cavities. These various veins come right out of the sides of bones, as you see in the picture. Now look at this piece of wood, which I believe is a long bone. The humerus, to be specific, the upper bone in our arm. Look at it closely. Do you see these holes? Right here and here? Yeah, a vein used to be there. In fact, all bone is surrounded by the periosteum, which is a membrane of blood vessels and nerves that wraps around most of our bones. It's what delivers bones their blood supply and also gives them their sense of feeling. Now, interestingly, these pieces of wood are surrounded by these veiny-like twigs and branches wrapping all around them, coming out the sides of the bigger pieces. I think you're looking at veins and arteries and bone that has turned into wood. Instead of just twigs and branches, could we be looking at the cardiovascular system turned to wood? Were these the veins and arteries that once supported the life of this bone? The more I find things like this, the more I think, yes, metamorphosis appears to be real, and the evidence is literally all around us. Now, we've learned that the periosteum is packed full of small veins that run up and down the outer layers of the bone. With that in mind, take a look at this piece of wood I found. Now, the periosteum is described as being fibrous, and these fiber-like veins run parallel to the bone. They're responsible for enabling us to feel our bones. That very sensation is from the periosteum. Now, I believe this piece of wood has gone through a metamorphosis, and this is a wonderful example because look what is right near the edge. These long strand-like fibers running the entire length of this piece of wood. This is a piece that didn't fully transition into solid wood. What we have here is a piece that really enables us to see what happens to the individual parts of the bone when it goes through this change. But the periosteum is the most striking. Look at the similarity. When we look at the end of this piece of wood, we can see a beautiful crosscut of a bone that has gone through metamorphosis. And this piece of wood, in the end, you can see the layers that would have been bone, as if you were looking at a crosscut. Right in the center, that dark spot, I believe, that would have been the arteries running in the middle of the bone marrow, which means those arteries and the marrow become the pith of a tree or plant after metamorphosis. And there's something protruding from the end of this branch that when we look at a crosscut image of a bone, it looks like it's a vein or artery. This has been through metamorphosis. This is a branch I just pulled out right here. I just yanked it out of there. It was sticking out. So was this one. I think these are both bones that have turned into wood. Look at that. I think that. Why would a tree have this kind of material under the bark? I think this is the periosteum, the membrane, all the blood vessels that surround the bone. It's what makes us, gives us feeling, allows us to feel our bones. And I think that's what we're looking at here. When you start comparing bone to trees, it becomes easy to see that the similarities are much more than a coincidence. I think it's metamorphosis. pith and marrow, right here, Oxford English Dictionary, it says pith marrow, meanings, etymology, and more. Click on that. And it says, what does the noun pith marrow mean? Right here, it's a phrase, pith marrow. This word is now obsolete. It is last recorded around the late 1700s. See etymology, and it's behind a paywall. I can't get it. I have to pay $10. See meaning and use. Behind a paywall as well. So I can't get that information from the Oxford English Dictionary. And the term pith marrow, this is the only place I can find it, but it was a term. They compounded the words pith and marrow. Why would they do that? Now, when I look up pith, the spongy cellular tissue in the stems and branches of many higher plants. Now, archaic, which means no longer used, we have spinal marrow. So the spinal marrow was once called pith. That is very interesting. Why was it used in other times to describe spinal marrow? And here we have the soft spongy tissue in the center of most of the stems of most vascular plants, and the spinal cord. Down here it says pith. Biology, the soft central part of a bone. The soft central part of a bone. The things I'm finding suggest that bones are turned to wood. Look at this. Tell me that's a tree. That is not a tree. What kind of bone do you think that was? You think it's part of an arm? You think this is the forearm down here? You think this is not a human? Look at that though. Vocabulary is quite peculiar, wouldn't you agree? It's interesting that we have limbs that we cut off of our trees, and various parts of our cardiovascular system are said to branch off of other parts, much like a tree branch grows from another. We have a vascular system in our bodies consisting of vessels, and we have vascular plants. Heck, we even have plantar fasciitis to denote the bottom of our foot where we plant ourselves firmly when lifting something heavy, for example. And don't let me forget that much like a leaf leaves and goes away, we too leave as we depart from one place to another. And this PDF about bones that a doctor put together ends with a picture of a tree as he says thank you. You cannot make this stuff up.